Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It is my honor today to introduce our speaker now on this Shabbat of Parshat Noach. It's also a very special Shabbat where we recognize the work of a brand new member of Kol Shalom. Her name is Amanda Katz, and it is my pleasure to introduce her to all of you as she is about to share the sermon today. Amanda is, in addition to being new at Kol Shalom, is the executive director of the Greater Washington Jewish Coalition Against Domestic Abuse, or JCADA. Before working at JCADA, Amanda served as the Assistant Executive Director of Congregation B'nai Tzedek. She served as the Development Officer for the Chesapeake region of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MAD, Associate Director of the Washington chapter of the American Jewish Committee, the AJC, and held various positions at the DCJCC and the Jewish Historical Society of Greater Washington. She's got a master's degree in nonprofit management, a certificate in Jewish communal service from Gratz College, and a bachelor's in art history from George Washington University. And Deb, if you can do the spotlight thing, that would be great, as long as we can go back to seeing everybody at the end. And there she is. Amanda, you take it away.
Thank you so much, Gil. Thank you for that introduction. We're thrilled to be new members of Kol Shalom. I come to you with my daughter, Becca, who's in 10th grade, and Lainey in 6th grade. And I want to thank you for your audacious hospitality. We received so many warm email messages and phone calls and a basket from Phyllis with a challah in it that was to die for. I don't even think it made it to our Shabbos table. So we really appreciate the welcome. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and JCADA's annual initiative called Purple Shabbat. Purple is the color of domestic violence awareness. This is a time for our Kehillah to join with the entire Greater Washington Jewish community to raise awareness about power-based violence and work toward creating a safe space to support survivors. Clergy from around the area are all addressing domestic violence this weekend. All the major news outlets have covered this secondary pandemic of domestic violence during this time of COVID. In fact, this week, CNN has an interactive map with stories highlighting the violence that is happening in homes around the world. COVID shutdowns have caused what I call the perfect storm for abuse: social isolation, increased gun sales, increased substance abuse, and economic insecurity, coupled with the increased stress of living, working, and learning online all in the same place. JCADA has not missed a day of work since the shutdown. We're answering our helpline. We're seeing clients through telehealth for trauma counseling. While the courts are mostly closed to every other need, our attorneys are helping people get protective orders over the phone and through Skype. Our victim advocates are helping people to find food, shelter, clothing, transportation, and access to public benefits. Our prevention, education, and training team have pivoted all of their work online to provide virtual opportunities for teens and young adults to learn about healthy relationships. Calls to our helpline are up 70% from this time last year, and we are nowhere near the end of this crisis. JCADA helps anyone who has suffered from power-based violence, domestic abuse, elder abuse, sexual assault, stalking, workplace harassment. None of these power-based violences are new in COVID, and in fact, none of these issues are modern. This week, we read Parshat Noach. Many of us are familiar with the line that the earth became corrupt before God. To my understanding, one of the messages here is that while humans were corrupt before God, they did not see their own behavior as corrupt. And this is all too common in the dynamics of power-based violence. We know that many abusers do not consider their behavior to be harmful, and unfortunately, this notion is supported far too often when abuse is swept under the rug or even sometimes justified by twisting halakha or other religious texts. I've also seen commentary that while humans were corrupt before God, this corruption took place behind closed doors, hidden from neighbors. This is a perfect metaphor for what domestic violence often looks like. We do not usually see it with our own eyes, but we can feel it in other ways, and it truly impacts all of us. Lastly, in this parsha, there is elder abuse perpetrated by Noah's son. Noah is drunk. His 3 sons find him unclothed in his tent. 2 sons act respectfully, and the 3rd is abusive to him in some way, with interpretations ranging from dishonor to sexual assault. At Jeketa, we have seen a rise in elder abuse over the past few years and escalated exponentially by COVID. This is one of the reasons why Purple Shabbat exists, to raise awareness and to give us the space to address abuse within our Jewish community head on. Abuse happens at the same rate in the Jewish community as it does throughout society. It is our duty to create a space where healing can begin and where our profound teachings can restore and renew. A synagogue that's values allow us to raise these uncomfortable issues from the Bima is a synagogue that values human life, respects individual agency, and knows that we can set aside our personal notions of what a Jewish family should look like in order to save a life and give everyone the opportunity to live in control of their finances and their body, to be able to celebrate their religion in the way that is most meaningful to them, and to be treated with respect and loved. While this has been such a hard time for so many Jeketa clients, I'm constantly inspired by their resilience, and I'm moved by the ways they've healed and connected to spirituality during this challenging time. Please check in on your fellow congregants and neighbors, make code words with them in case they need to signal for help, and know your resources like Jeketa to have at hand just in case. Purple Shabbat gives us the opportunity to use the sanctuary of Shabbat to focus on an issue that is all around us and yet often overlooked. I'm honored to have had this time with you during Purple Shabbat. Thank you for giving me the space to shine a light on this issue. Together, we will find the rainbow in these trying times. Shabbat Shalom.